The moment that was supposed to look royal suddenly looked like rejection broadcast to the entire world. Not a quiet misunderstanding, not a scheduling mix-up, but a silence so loud it echoed across headlines, hashtags, and royal corridors from Amman to London. Because when Meghan stepped into Jordan expecting the gravity of royal treatment, something shocking happened. The door never opened.
My name is Meghan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy Kaling.
Under the blazing sun of Amman, the stage looked perfect. Cameras were ready. Security lines were tight. Diplomats moved with practiced precision. Every detail carefully arranged as if a historic meeting was about to unfold. Meghan stepped forward with the confidence of someone expecting the full ceremonial weight of royalty. The visit had been framed as humanitarian, meaningful, global in its message. But then, something strange began to ripple through the scene. There was no royal motorcade, no palace escort, no official greeting. King Abdullah II of Jordan did not appear. Queen Rania was nowhere in sight. The place where the kingdom's leadership should have stood remained empty. Aides exchanged uneasy looks. Cameras kept rolling. But anyone who understood royal protocol felt the tension immediately, because in royal diplomacy, absence is rarely accidental. And what unfolded next would ignite a storm far beyond Jordan.
Your half-sister, has just lost her $100 million Netflix contract.
The story actually began weeks earlier, far from the deserts of Jordan, inside a quiet mansion in Montecito, California. According to sources familiar with the situation, a carefully drafted letter had been sent to the royal Hashemite court. Not a casual note, not an informal message. A formal request, embossed stationery. The Sussex coronet stamped proudly across heavy cream paper. The tone respectful, yet unmistakably confident. Inside the letter was a simple proposal, a private audience with King Abdullah II and Queen Rania during Meghan and Harry's upcoming Middle East visit. For the Sussex team, the expectation was almost automatic. After all, royal titles still carry weight in many parts of the world. At least that was the assumption. But there was a detail that would quietly change everything. No diplomatic cable had been issued by King Charles III. No official communication from Buckingham Palace. No state coordination. And in the strict universe of international royal protocol, that omission is not small. It is everything. Days passed after the letter was sent. No reply, no confirmation, no polite decline, not even a brief acknowledgement, just silence. At first, the quiet didn't seem alarming. Royal courts move slowly. International calendars are complex. Those close to the Sussex camp reportedly believed it was only a matter of aligning schedules. The meeting, they assumed, would happen naturally. But as February rolled closer to the 28th, something unsettling became harder to ignore. No palace aide contacted the Sussex team. No security coordination began. No diplomatic back channels opened. For a visit involving figures of global fame and royal titles, the absence of preparation was deeply unusual. Still, the trip moved forward. When Meghan and Harry arrived in Amman, the atmosphere immediately felt different from what had been anticipated. There was no palace welcome waiting on the tarmac, no discreet signal that a royal meeting would be arranged quietly behind closed doors. The city carried on normally, but the royal Hashemite court remained completely still. And in diplomatic circles, silence is not neutral. A rejection can be negotiated. A postponement can be rescheduled. But silence leaves no ground to stand on. Behind the scenes, aides scrambled to find answers. Messages were checked. Contacts were quietly approached. Protocol experts reviewed the situation again and again. Yet the response from Amman never changed. Without formal state communication from London, there would be no official reception. The rule was clear, and the rule would not bend. For the first time, the gap between expectation and reality began to widen. The carefully planned optics of the visit had been designed to look seamless. Humanitarian engagements, hospital visits, partnership announcements, compassionate moments captured on camera. But now, those carefully polished images carried a shadow, because the one meeting that would have given the visit royal legitimacy simply wasn't happening. The hosts had not opened the door, and as February 28th approached, the absence of acknowledgement stopped looking like a scheduling issue. It started looking like a statement. The visit proceeded under the banner of humanitarian work, officially linked to initiatives involving global health outreach and refugee support. Cameras captured every moment, yet something essential remained missing. No royal motorcade escorted the couple through Amman. Requests for state-level security were quietly reviewed by Jordan's Ministry of Interior, then declined. The explanation was calm and procedural. This was not an official state visit. Without diplomatic authorization from Buckingham Palace, the couple would be treated as private visitors. Private visitors receive private arrangements. For seasoned observers of royal diplomacy, the message was unmistakable. The only formal gesture during the trip came from the British side. Ambassador Peter Hall hosted a modest reception at his residence in Amman. Polite, contained, carefully restrained. There were no senior Jordanian royals in attendance, no palace photographers, no signals of endorsement from the Hashemite court. And then came the moment that truly shifted the story. While Meghan was visiting a specialty hospital in Amman, cameras capturing her holding the hand of a young burn victim from Gaza, images began circulating from another part of the city. At almost the exact same time, Queen Rania was attending a public education initiative just miles away. The event was widely covered in Jordan. The timing was impossible to ignore. Two high-profile appearances, same city, same day, yet completely separate worlds. No overlap, no meeting, not even a brief courtesy encounter behind closed doors. For many watching the story unfold, the distance felt deliberate. Inside the Sussex team, tension reportedly began to rise. The quiet expectation of a private royal audience had evaporated. The narrative they had hoped to project, humanitarian engagement combined with subtle diplomatic presence, was starting to crack. Observers noticed small shifts. Briefings began emphasizing independence instead of partnership. Language about collaboration faded into talk of private initiative. Meghan remained composed in front of cameras, continuing hospital visits and public engagements. But insiders whispered about sharp discussions happening behind the scenes. Frustration over protocol. Concern about optics. A growing fear that the trip was being framed not as a royal visit, but as a celebrity tour. And that distinction mattered, because the internet had already started asking questions. Why had King Abdullah II not met them? Why had Queen Rania appeared elsewhere instead? Why had the Jordanian court stayed completely silent? Within hours, whispers turned into hashtags: royal snub, protocol breach, diplomatic shade. Clips began spreading across platforms, replayed endlessly as viewers searched for hidden meaning in every gesture and every absence. The silence that began with an unanswered letter was now visible to the entire world. What started as a quiet, diplomatic non-response had exploded into a global conversation, and the realization that the door would never open was no longer private. It was viral. The moment the internet caught the story, everything exploded. What could have remained a quiet diplomatic awkwardness suddenly became a global spectacle. Clips from the Jordan visit began circulating at lightning speed, dissected frame by millions of viewers searching for hidden meaning. Within hours, the narrative had transformed. This was no longer just about a missed meeting with the king and queen. Now it was about optics, symbolism, and comparisons that ignited an entirely new storm. The first wave of attention focused on a single emotional moment. Footage from a specialty hospital in Amman showed Meghan sitting beside a 14-year-old burn victim from Gaza. She leaned forward gently, holding the child's hand, her face solemn, her posture calm and compassionate. The camera angle was intimate, close, focused on eye contact and touch. The image spread quickly across social media as a powerful humanitarian moment. But online observers noticed something else almost immediately. Side-by-side images began appearing. On one side of the screen, Meghan at the hospital in Amman. On the other, archival photographs of Princess Diana during her 1992 humanitarian visit to Islamabad. The similarities were uncanny. The white blazer, the bedside posture, the quiet stillness captured by photographers. Comment sections exploded with debate. Some called it a respectful tribute to Diana's legacy. Others argued the resemblance felt too precise to be accidental. Regardless of interpretation, the comparison spread like wildfire. And then another clip surfaced. At the Za'atari refugee camp, Meghan participated in a youth soccer activity with refugee children. Cameras captured her lining up for a penalty kick before laughing with the kids afterward. It was meant to show a lighthearted moment of connection. But once again, social media users began creating side-by-side comparisons. This time, the images were placed next to footage of Catherine, Princess of Wales, during her own engagement in Jordan in 2022. The body language before the kick, the relaxed laughter afterward, the dusty pitch surrounded by cheering children. Within hours, the internet had turned the moment into another viral debate. By mid-afternoon in the United Kingdom, a new new phrase began trending across platforms: royal identity theft. Digital analytics showed engagement surging in massive spikes across Britain and the United States. Comment threads filled with arguments, speculation, and frustration. What had started as a diplomatic question about Jordan's silence had now evolved into something far more explosive. Was Meghan recreating iconic royal imagery? Or was the internet simply projecting patterns where none existed? The debate grew louder with every hour. Then, another unexpected moment ignited fresh controversy. During a roundtable discussion in Amman about rehabilitation technology, Prince Harry was photographed holding a high-tech prosthetic leg while speaking about recovery for injured civilians. The image was intended to highlight humanitarian innovation, but that same week another headline had been circulating online. Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, 81 years old, had reportedly undergone a leg amputation and was recovering in the Philippines. The contrast struck a nerve. Within minutes, a new hashtag surged across social platforms. Compassion begins at home. Commentators began questioning the optics. Critics argued that promoting prosthetic innovation abroad while remaining publicly silent about an immediate family medical crisis felt contradictory. The narrative widened again. Now it wasn't just about protocol or symbolism. It had become personal. By late afternoon, attention shifted back to Meghan herself. During a brief press interaction, cameras captured a moment that viewers would replay endlessly. For a split second, her expression tightened. A pause lingered just a little longer than expected. It was subtle, but the internet noticed everything. Body language analysts began dissecting the clip frame by frame. Lip-reading accounts speculated about words exchanged just outside the camera's view. Whether it was frustration, exhaustion, or simple misinterpretation hardly mattered anymore. The perception was already spreading. The pressure was showing. In less than 24 hours, the entire storyline surrounding the Jordan visit had transformed. What began as a quiet diplomatic absence had become a viral storm of comparisons, accusations, and emotional reactions unfolding in real time. But the biggest shock was still coming, because while the internet argued, the palace had been watching. At exactly 9:00 Greenwich Mean Time on February 28, 2026, a formal statement emerged from St. James's Palace in London. The timing was unmistakable. While social media dissected hospital photos and refugee camp videos, the monarchy moved from silence to response, and the words carried weight. The voice behind the message was Princess Anne. The Princess Royal condemned what she described as unauthorized diplomatic outreach and emphasized that no working authority had been granted for state-level engagement in Amman. The absence of a diplomatic cable from King Charles III, she stated, was not a minor oversight. It was central to the issue. The statement also addressed the use of royal titles. The designation of Duke and Duchess, it explained, carries responsibility and constitutional limits. Presenting oneself in a foreign capital in a way that suggests representation of the crown without formal sanction was described as a serious breach of established practice. But the palace communication went even further. Without naming specific hashtags or online debates, the briefing referenced the viral comparisons circulating across social media. Images from the hospital visit in Amman and the soccer event at the refugee camp were described as visually echoing historic moments associated with Princess Diana and Catherine, Princess of Wales. The tone suggested that these parallels were not accidental. It had become a defining moment in the global debate over royal authority, personal ambition, and the fragile balance between celebrity influence and constitutional tradition. And the most uncomfortable question of all still lingered in the air. Did Jordan simply follow protocol? Or did the kingdom send a message the entire world was meant to see?